today's witness in the impeachment investigation on Capitol Hill. Fiona Hill.
Fiona Hill is on Capitol Hill.
On Capitol Hill, Fiona Hill.
On Capitol Hill, Fiona Hill.
Fiona Hill appearance today on the Hill. Fiona Hill. There on the Hill, there's been a little bit of drama, Manu, in that some
A crucial week is beginning in the House's impeachment inquiry.
First up today is
former White House Russia advisor Fiona Hill
testifying before lawmakers behind closed doors.
Fiona Hill resigned as President Trump's top Russia analyst just days before his controversial call with the president of Ukraine.
Fiona Hill told members in that briefing today
that President Trump's lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, and European Ambassador Gordon Sondland
bypassed the national security process and instead ran their own Ukraine policy on the president's behalf.
Her appearance today kicks off a pivotal week of testimony.
3 other State Department officials, including Gordon Sondland, will testify this week
after the State Department blocked his scheduled hearing last week.
He's the diplomat who told colleagues in text messages there was no quid pro quo in terms of withholding security assistance in exchange for help with the Trump 2020 campaign.
According to a weekend report in the Washington Post, Sondland
is expected to tell Congress that his quid pro quo denial was dictated to him by President Trump
and had no knowledge of his own why aid was withheld.
There are also 7 subpoena deadlines
to turn over documents. That includes the vice president, the acting defense secretary, the acting budget chief, energy secretary Rick Perry, and acting White House chief of staff Mick Mulvaney.
Whether or not the White House and these various agencies intend to actually comply with those document requests still remains very much an open question.
A nightmare scenario is playing out right now in northern Syria.
President Trump is ordering most of the remaining U.S. forces out of northern Syria
as Turkish forces are pushing further south into Syria,
quickly defeating Kurdish forces, which have been aligned with the United States in fighting ISIS.
You could have full-on war there with thousands more ISIS fighters and their families escaping during the chaos.
The Kurds say America has abandoned them.
American troops at risk of being isolated.
The Defense Secretary Mark Esper defending the U.S. troop withdrawal from Syria as Kurdish forces cut a deal with the Assad regime to fight off the Turkish onslaught.
The same Assad that brutally tortured and massacred thousands of his own people, the very same Assad regime that is backed by Russia.
What we're facing is U.S. forces in a trap between a Syrian-Russian army moving north to take on the Turkish army that is moving south.
This is how you create war.
It'll be very difficult to establish alliances in the future, and we need those to avoid having to deploy massive numbers of U.S. forces on the ground.
I don't see how it follows through on the president's promise, his biggest promise of the campaign, to defeat ISIS, because I think it is going to resurge.
Breaking news.
Vice President Mike Pence announcing that the U.S. is going to be imposing new sanctions on Turkey.
And the president has directed me to lead a delegation to Turkey in the immediate future to begin discussions and negotiations to bring the bloodshed to an end.
Tomorrow night, 12 Democrats will take the stage in Westerville, Ohio, for the biggest presidential primary debate in history.
It's going to be a big night tomorrow for a lot of the candidates, but really for Joe Biden.
It comes as Vice President Biden's son, Hunter, announces that he is going to be stepping down from his position on the board of a Chinese investment firm.
And if his father wins the election, he will not take foreign work.
Over the weekend on Sunday in Iowa, Joe Biden
trying to lay down some ethical markers.
No one in my family will have an office in the White House, will sit in meetings as if they're a cabinet member, will in fact have any business relationship with anyone that relates to a foreign corporation or a foreign country. Period.
Biden really just pivoting to Donald Trump.
He's also rolling out this plan now to restore government ethics.
But that might get a little bit more complicated. Hunter Biden sat down for a pretty wide-ranging interview with ABC News that's supposed to air tomorrow.
Just a few hours before tomorrow's debate.
Timing.
We don't know what's going to happen in that interview, but it's certainly going to be something that's going to be a big topic of discussion as we go into this presidential debate.
Ultimately, this is going to be a question about how much he can go toe-to-toe with the president and whether he can put the question about his son behind him.
Folks. The other thing is, folks, look, and folks, look, folks.